The statute of limitations is a legal time limit within which a creditor or debt collector can sue you for unpaid debt. Once that time passes, the debt doesn't disappear entirely, but creditors lose the right to sue you in court to collect it. For older women struggling with debt, understanding this rule can be a powerful tool for protecting themselves from unnecessary legal and financial stress. The statute of limitations varies depending on the type of debt, credit card, medical, personal loan, etc., and the state you live in. In the U.S., it typically ranges from 3 to 10 years, though some states may have shorter or longer periods. For example, if your state sets a 6-year limit on credit card debt, and you haven't made a payment or acknowledged the debt in that time, the creditor can no longer legally take you to court over it. It's important to understand that the countdown generally starts from the date of your last payment, or the last time you admitted owing the debt. If you make even a small payment on an old debt or agree in writing that you owe it, you might restart the clock, giving creditors more time to sue. This is why debt collectors sometimes encourage small payments on very old accounts, not necessarily because it helps you, but because it revives their ability to take legal action. For older women, especially those living on fixed incomes, this defense can prevent being bullied into paying debts that legally can't be enforced. If a debt is past its statute of limitations, a debt collector can still contact you, but they cannot legally threaten you with a lawsuit. If they do, you may have grounds for a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, or your state attorney general's office. Knowing your rights means you can respond confidently. If a collector contacts you about an old debt, you can request written verification of when the debt was incurred and the date of the last payment. If you find that the statute of limitations has expired, you can send a written notice telling them to stop contacting you about the debt. This is called a cease communication letter under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, FDCPA. However, even though the creditor can't sue you, the debt might still appear on your credit report for up to 7 years from the original delinquency date. This can affect your credit score. But for many older women who are not taking out new loans or credit, the practical impact may be minimal compared to the benefit of avoiding legal battles and further financial strain. In short, understanding the statute of limitations allows older women to protect themselves from predatory collection practices. Focus on essential expenses like housing, food, and medical care, and avoid paying debts they are no longer legally obligated to settle. It's not about getting away with something, it's about using the law to safeguard your financial well-being in retirement. For older women struggling with debt, bankruptcy can feel like a frightening or shameful last resort, but in reality, it is a legal tool designed to give people a fresh financial start. What many don't realize is that bankruptcy law in the U.S. includes specific exemptions and protections that can safeguard certain assets, making the process less devastating than it sounds. These bankruptcy exemptions ensure that you don't lose everything you own if you decide to file. There are 2 main types of personal bankruptcy. Chapter 7, liquidation. Most unsecured debts like credit cards, medical bills, and personal loans can be completely discharged, meaning you no longer owe them. Chapter 13, repayment plan allows you to keep assets while reorganizing debt into an affordable payment schedule, usually over 3 to 5 years. For seniors, especially those on fixed incomes, Chapter 7 is often the most useful because it eliminates many debts quickly without requiring long-term payments. But here's where exemptions matter. Bankruptcy law protects certain property from being taken to pay creditors. Some common federal bankruptcy exemptions, which may vary if your state has its own rules, include homestead exemption protects a certain amount of equity in your primary residence. In some states, this protection can be unlimited for older or disabled individuals. Retirement accounts, pensions, 401ks, IRAs, and Social Security benefits are usually fully protected, meaning creditors cannot touch them. Personal property, essential household goods, clothing, appliances, and sometimes even a car, up to a certain value. Public benefits, Social Security, disability benefits, and certain veterans' benefits are exempt. For older women, these protections can mean the difference between starting over with dignity or facing extreme hardship. For example, a 70-year-old widow living on Social Security might fear that bankruptcy will take her home and her small pension, but in many cases, both are legally shielded. It's also important to note that Social Security income is generally protected from creditors, even outside of bankruptcy. However, once that money is deposited into a bank account, it can become harder to prove its source, so seniors should consider keeping protected funds separate from other deposits. Bankruptcy does have consequences, such as a temporary drop in your credit score, but for many retirees, credit recovery is less of a concern than eliminating overwhelming debt. If you're not planning on taking out large loans, the impact may be minor compared to the relief of stopping creditor harassment, lawsuits, and wage garnishment if still working part-time. The key takeaway: bankruptcy exemptions exist to protect people from losing everything, and seniors often qualify for enhanced protections under both state and federal law. Before dismissing bankruptcy as ruinous, older women should understand that it can be a strategic move to clear unpayable debts while keeping essential assets intact. With the right guidance from a bankruptcy attorney familiar with elder financial issues, it can be a path toward peace of mind in retirement. Not every debt collector contacting you has a legal right to do so, and not every debt they claim you owe is valid. For older women struggling with debt, understanding how to identify invalid debts and recognizing improper service can prevent paying money you don't legally owe. When a debt is sold to a third-party collection agency, records can be incomplete, inaccurate, or outdated. This can result in phantom debts, accounts that are fully paid off, discharged in bankruptcy, past the statute of limitations, or even belonging to someone else entirely. Debt collectors are legally required under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act (FDCPA) to provide written proof that you owe the debt, but many people don't know they can demand this. If you receive a letter or phone call from a collector, you have the right to send a debt validation letter within 30 days of first contact. This forces the collector to produce documentation showing the original creditor's name, the exact amount owed via date, and details of the debt proof that they are authorized to collect. If they can't produce proper documentation, they must stop collection efforts. Many debts are sold so many times that proper records no longer exist, which means the collector has no legal grounds to demand payment. Improper service is another important defense. When a creditor sues you for unpaid debt, they must follow strict legal procedures for serving you with court papers. This usually means delivering them directly to you, or leaving them with someone at your home in a way that meets your state's rules. If you were never properly served, the court may dismiss the case. Unfortunately, some collectors use sewer service, claiming they served you when they didn't, so they can win a default judgment without your knowledge. This is illegal, and if discovered, the judgment can often be overturned. For older women, especially those living alone, vigilance is crucial. Keep a record of all communications from debt collectors, including dates, times, names, and what was said. Never admit to owing a debt until you've received and reviewed proof. Avoid making small good faith payments on questionable debts, as this can reset the statute of limitations and revive a collector's right to sue. Also, be aware that scam debt collectors prey heavily on seniors. They may use aggressive threats, claim you'll be arrested, or pressure you to pay immediately via gift cards, wire transfer, or prepaid debit cards. These are all red flags. Legitimate collectors cannot have you arrested for unpaid debts, and reputable companies will not demand payment through unusual methods. By insisting on proper verification and service, older women can protect themselves from paying debts they don't owe, prevent fraudulent judgments, and maintain control over their limited financial resources. The law is on your side. Use it to ensure that only valid, properly handled debts are taken seriously. Medical bills are one of the most common sources of debt for older women, especially those living on fixed incomes. Even with Medicare or supplemental insurance, copays, deductibles, uncovered treatments, and prescription costs can quickly spiral out of control. However, many hospitals, clinics, and healthcare providers offer medical hardship accommodations programs designed to reduce or even eliminate medical debt for patients who can demonstrate financial need. Unfortunately, these options are often poorly advertised. So many seniors never know they exist. What are medical hardship accommodations? These are special arrangements made by healthcare providers to adjust, reduce, or cancel a patient's medical bill based on their income, assets, and circumstances. Accommodations can take several forms. Charity care programs. Some hospitals, particularly nonprofit ones, are legally required to provide free or discounted. For many older women living on a fixed income, utility bills, electricity, gas, water, and heating can take up a large portion of their monthly budget. Seasonal spikes in usage, such as heating in the winter or air conditioning in the summer, can make costs unmanageable. Fortunately, there are low-income utility assistance programs that can reduce, defer, or even cover these bills entirely for eligible seniors. These programs are legal, often government-funded, and specifically designed to protect vulnerable households from losing essential services. What are utility assistance programs? These are programs offered by federal, state, and local agencies, as well as utility companies themselves, to help low-income customers pay their bills. They aim to prevent service shutoffs, especially for seniors, children, and medically vulnerable individuals. Some of the most well-known include LIHEAP, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, a federal program that provides grants to help with heating or cooling costs. Funds are typically distributed through state agencies. Weatherization Assistance Program WAP helps reduce energy costs by improving home insulation, sealing drafts, and upgrading inefficient appliances. Utility company discount rates. Many electric, gas, and water companies offer senior or low-income discounts, cutting monthly bills by a percentage. Emergency relief programs offer one-time payments to stop disconnection notices or restore service after a shutoff. Eligibility for seniors. Most programs set income limits based on the federal poverty level, often around 150% to 200%. For older women living alone, this means that even modest Social Security benefits may still qualify them for assistance. Some programs also waive strict income rules if the applicant has medical needs that require stable power, such as oxygen, machines, refrigerated medications, or mobility equipment. How to apply. Applications usually require proof of income, Social Security award letters, pension statements, bank records, proof of residency, utility bill in your name, identification drivers, license, state, or other government-issued ID. Medical documentation. If applying for health-related exemptions, it's best to apply early. Many programs operate on a first-come, first-served basis, and funds can run out before winter or summer peaks. Special protections. For seniors in many states, there are no shutoff rules for seniors during extreme weather. This means utility companies cannot disconnect service in the middle of winter or during heat waves if you meet age and income requirements. Some states extend these protections year-round for older adults or those with medical conditions. Why? This matters for older women. Losing heat in the winter or air conditioning in the summer isn't just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. Seniors are more vulnerable to hypothermia, heat stroke, and related health risks. Utility assistance programs help ensure older women can stay safe and healthy while keeping more money in their budget for food, medications, and other essentials. Bottom line. Low income utility assistance is not charity, it's a legal right under many state and federal programs. Knowing these options can help older women avoid service shutoffs, reduce monthly expenses, and live more comfortably on limited incomes. One of the easiest ways for older women to save money and avoid paying for things they don't need is by recognizing and ending expired subscription or service agreements. Many people, especially seniors, continue to pay for memberships, contracts, or services long after they've stopped using them, simply because the payments are set to auto-renew. These might include gym memberships, magazine subscriptions, streaming services, phone plans, or even old maintenance agreements for appliances or electronics they no longer own. How these bills keep going. A big reason these costs continue is the automatic renewal clause. Companies often bury this in the fine print of contracts, meaning your subscription renews automatically unless you actively cancel it. Sometimes, these renewals switch to month-to-month payments after a fixed term, which can drain a bank account over time without being noticed. For older women managing many bills, these small recurring charges can add up to hundreds of dollars a year, money that could go toward essentials like food, medical expenses, or utilities. When you can legally stop paying if a contract has expired and there's no ongoing obligation, you can cancel at any time. In fact, many states have consumer protection laws that require companies to notify you before automatically renewing an annual subscription. If they fail to do so, you may have the right to a refund for the renewal period. Some states also have cooling-off periods for certain services, allowing you to cancel within a few days of renewal without penalty. Seniors sometimes have extended cancellation rights under elder consumer protection statutes, especially for services sold door or over the phone. Steps to check your bank statements. Look for small recurring charges you don't recognize. These are often the culprits. Contact the company, ask for the contract's start and end date, as well as renewal terms. Request cancellation in writing. This creates a paper trail in case the company tries to bill you again. Dispute unwanted charges if they continue billing after cancellation. Contact your bank or credit card company to dispute the charges. Special considerations for seniors. Older women are often targeted by misleading sales tactics such as free trial offers that turn into expensive subscriptions without clear consent. If you never agreed to the paid service or were misled, this could fall under unfair or deceptive trade practices, which are illegal. You may be able to get these charges reversed and stop future billing. Why this matters: every dollar counts when living on a fixed income. By cutting off expired or unnecessary subscriptions, older women can free up extra funds each month without making painful sacrifices. It's a simple step that doesn't require giving up essentials, only eliminating waste. Bottom line, expired subscription or service agreements are one of the most overlooked drains on senior finances. Reviewing them regularly, canceling what's unused, and knowing your legal rights can stop unnecessary charges and put money back in your pocket legally and stress-free. Zombie debt is a term for old debts that should be legally but keep coming back to life because debt buyers or collectors try to pursue them. For older women struggling with finances, understanding how these debts work and how to protect yourself from paying them is critical. What are zombie debts? Zombie debts are typically past the statute of limitations, too old for a lawsuit, previously paid in full or settled, discharged in bankruptcy, a result of identity theft or clerical error. Debt buyers purchase these accounts for pennies on the dollar, then attempt to collect, betting that most people don't know their rights. They may use intimidating letters, calls, or threats of legal action to scare you into paying. Why they target seniors? Older women are prime targets for zombie debt collection because they may have limited legal knowledge about debt expiration. Rules want to do the right thing, even if not legally required. Fear damage to their credit or harassment. Be more trusting of official-sounding letters or phone calls. Collectors rely on this to pressure payment, even when they have no legal standing. The legal reality: once the statute of limitations has passed, collectors cannot sue to enforce payment. However, if you acknowledge the debt in writing, or make even a small payment, you might restart the clock, making the debt enforceable again. This is why collectors often encourage small, good faith payments. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act (FDCPA) prohibits misleading threats of lawsuits or arrests for expired debts. If a collector violates these rules, you can file a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau (CFPB) or your state attorney general. How to protect yourself: never admit the debt is yours until you have proof. Request written validation. Within 30 days of first contact, they must show the original creditor, amount, and last payment date. Check your state's statute of limitations for the type of debt in question. Avoid making payments or promises unless you are sure you want to restart the clock. Send a cease communication letter if you do not want further contact. Scam red flags: some zombie debt collectors aren't collecting a real debt at all. Watch for these warning signs: demanding payment through gift cards, cryptocurrency, or wire transfers, refusing to send written proof of the debt, claiming you'll be arrested or your benefits seized. Illegal for consumer debt. Why this matters for older women: paying zombie debt wastes precious financial resources and can open the door to renewed collection harassment. For seniors on a fixed income, every dollar counts. And knowing how to block unenforceable claims can keep that money where it belongs, supporting your daily needs. Bottom line: zombie debt can only hurt you if you give it new life. By understanding the law, refusing to restart expired debts, and recognizing scam tactics, older women can legally ignore these claims and protect their limited income. Elder financial abuse is a growing concern, and older women are among the most frequent targets. Scammers, unethical debt collectors, and even acquaintances or family members may try to exploit a senior's finances. To combat this, many states in the U.S. have enacted state-specific elder financial abuse regulations that provide extra protections for older adults, often defined as those aged 60 or 65 and older. What is elder financial abuse? It's the illegal or improper use of an older person's funds, property, or assets. This can include pressuring a senior T